All right. What is going on? We're going to tie some flies. I'm going to take my sweater off first, as it's pretty hot. But I hope everyone's doing well. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Also, don't forget, it is the Friday Fly giveaway. So we do have our, if I'll pull it up real quick, do have our marble race open. So for all the Twitchers out there, hop on in there. We got our sub race first and then do the follower at the end. But I hope everyone's doing well. Let me get my camera started up here. Not doing a very long stream today because I got to get up super early tomorrow. So today I was trying to get as much fly tying done as I could. Just put my head down to the grindstone, aka the Regal Vice, and tie away. But pop this off, and there we go. You can see I've been working on a bunch of EP flies. Let me go ahead and move all these out of the way so it doesn't try to focus on it. We have size 2 and size 4 odds. So this is what we're going to be doing. We got to finish up some of these orange over yellow 4-odd Gamakatsu SL12S. And then, so we essentially have the tails tied, and then we're going to be V-tying, it's all V-tied, and then we're going to be tying the body via V-ties and trimming it in that classic style. So, this is what we're working on. These Peacock bass flies with this EP material. And we have, let's see, we have, it looks like 4 more tails to tie, and I've been tying the tails nonstop, so we'll probably transition over. I have, you can see I've been cutting the material in a certain way, so we have some material for the V-ties for the heads. We'll probably tie the heads up on some of these. Let's see if I can also get this focus right. Let's go ahead and switch it from continuous, manual. Okay. That should be all right. Just turn that like that. Okay. Also, let me restart my chat doc here for this. Should be good to go. Hey, Doc. What's going on? How you doing? Hope you're doing well. I need to send your flies out because it's international. But everyone else, I believe there are multiple packages, but for Master of Battle, Brew, Joe F on YouTube, and I believe Jim. So I think everybody should have gotten their envelopes. I got to send your international package out, but you can hop on in that FFG. So we are going to be, hey Brew, what's going on? Speaking of Brew.
Liffly heart liffly ahe.
Brew, did you were you waiting on an FFG package? Did you get it? I believe you should have gotten some flies recently, if I'm not wrong. But thank you, my friend. The 58 months. Appreciate that. You did. Okay, very good. I'm glad. Okay. Very nice. So everybody else probably should have gotten their stuff as well. Very cool, very cool. Well, thank you for the resub, my friend. Appreciate that. Get some LI Flies hearts in the chat. All right, I need to get comfortable here because my back's been bothering me a little bit. Speaking of which, exclamation mark play, you can hop on in there. We got the sub one first for the Twitch subs, and after that for the follower race. Hope everyone's doing well here on Twitch, also on YouTube. How's everybody doing? We did a interesting Halloween stream last night. I was pretty much delusional from being so tired after working, but we got a lizard tail done. So I was like, oh, should we tie the rest of this lizard fly? But I I have so much fly tying I need to do, and I'm going to be working all weekend. So when I get off after bunker fishing this weekend, I'm just going to be coming back, and I have 12 purple uh, in 2-aught, and then 12 and 4-aught I need to tie as well. So we have an additional 24 tails to finish, and then we have to tie the rest of the flies. I think the next part of it, where we're V-tying the heads and trimming, isn't going to take as long, but it still is going to take some time. So I have to get these done, I think probably like within a week for this guide who's going to be going on a trip. So I definitely need to get as much of this stuff done as possible. So I need to shut up. And let's get some of this stuff done. I have some angel hair here. I've just been incorporating a little bit of angel hair on the tie for the tail. It's all V-ties. Literally the entire fly is V-ties. You start off with one for the back, and then from here on out, we're going to use the same length for this first tie. After this, we're going to start going down in size. We're just going to do one with yellow on the bottom. You can see I taper it slightly so it just doesn't look like it's stubby ends. We'll go ahead and move right up. Now, I'm probably going to be breaking my thread here a lot. This uni mono thread is not as strong as the fine monofilament thread from Danville. And I've just been, if I just even barely touch the hook point, these Gamakatsu big games are so sharp that it like instantly breaks. So it was driving me nuts earlier because you have to work around the hook point a lot with these EP style flies. Which normally you don't. Normally you don't tie past the hook point, the bend of, I should say the hook point, and go onto the bend and whatnot. But we're tying a little bit back behind it. You can see we're starting. We essentially want to tie 3 or 4 ties and have it end right about where the hook point is, and then we can start building the body in front of that. So that's what we're doing essentially. Hey Jen, what's going on, man? How you doing? We are working on some peacock bass flies. And it's like a hollow tie. You need to make sure you tie the tie top and bottom evenly, you know? So I'm going to make sure that I wrap this forward enough. And then we're just going to fold it back the opposite direction. That's essentially the entire fly. You could hear I'm hitting that hook point there. Not a lot of room. Not a lot of room to work with. And then what I do is I just take a little bit more angel hair and I just put that on here. A little bit shorter. Probably add a little bit throughout the fly, but you don't really need much. Some of these, you can see this pink actually has a little bit of angel hair mixed in with it. So hopefully it doesn't mind there's a little bit of a difference, but that's why I'm going to incorporate some of the yellow throughout the belly in some of the shorter V-ties, just so we have a little bit more uniformity. So here, I need to make this a little bit shorter. What I'm going to do is taper this, make it longer, then cut it, and then taper it again. This is how you can really get the most out of your EP fiber, and also the least amount of trimming we need to do, the better, in my opinion, if we can just get it naturally to look that way. I hate trying to trim it to get it to look, you know, it's one thing for the body. The body we're going to be trimming, but the head, I should say, and the front part of the body, but the tail section, we can just taper it naturally so it looks hopefully lifelike, you know. What I can do here is even take some of the shorter stuff and save that for the next tie. But we did a pretty good job with this. Because we're slowly making the length shorter, you know. We want the top to be a little bit longer than the bottom here, but we're just essentially doing the first tail section with one color. Then we do 3 ties with the 2-tone. And we slowly make it just a little bit shorter. Now we're going to go fairly short with it here. And I'm also trying to keep the material. I'm not trying to use too much. It's pretty easy to go overboard here with material. Definitely don't want to add too much. So what I essentially do to try and get this, you know, a lot of times I won't try and cut it to a bunch of different lengths. I'll cut it to a couple different lengths, and then I'll just taper it longer or taper it less to keep it shorter. And that's what I'm doing to get these different. And when I say taper, I'm just pulling on the ends to, in case anyone doesn't know, I'm just pulling on the ends to make it look like it wasn't cut by scissors, essentially. So what you do is you kind of just pull on the ends a little bit, and then we can have a little bit more natural look. You can even, sometimes I just break it up by hand here. Hey, Southern Fly Guy. How's it going? By the way, we got our sub giveaway on Twitch, !play, hop on in there. But, thank you, my friend. Get some LI Flies hearts in the chat. 5 months in a row now. Hope you had a great Halloween. But, yes, unfortunately, we found out Bob Popovics passed away. So, yesterday. So that was quite a bummer, to say the least. Fly tying legend, probably the most influential fly tyer on me, you know, especially a lot of other folks. So, saw a lot of different people post on Instagram today, stuff that they remembered about him and whatnot. So, shout out to the legend, Bob Popovics. Rest in peace. The one of the all-time greats, if not the all-time great. So we'll try and keep spreading the good word of pop flies to everybody, to future generations, so they know how to tie a good saltwater fly. You can see what we end up working with here. At this point, we're probably gonna, if we were doing the head, what we're gonna do is we're going to trim the body here. So we'll tie V-ties the whole way, somewhat probably about that long, and then we'll just trim it to where it kind of goes naturally. And some of this might even get trimmed here, but most of it's just gonna kind of gonna stay like that. So essentially what we're working with, you're trying not to put too much material on there. I probably went a little short on that third tie. We should probably try and extend it a little bit so it comes a little bit more naturally. But it's just something to keep in mind. Head out in the morning, try and catch something. Very nice, Craig. If I wasn't working, I'd be trying to do the same. We'll see, maybe Monday. Depends on how much of this fly tying I get done this weekend. I also need to tie a lot of sand eel teasers for whitewater as well. So we got a whole bunch of stuff that I need to do. So what I do, I'll show you my little trick here. When I start off, I take off a piece of EP fiber. We're probably, what do we have? Three tails to tie. I'll take off a little more. I might need a little more. I line it up, right? And then I probably cut off about that much. I put that off to the side. We're using that for the V-ties for the head. We're not wasting any material. And now we have something that's suitable for the first tie, right? We take this, we're going to just taper it slightly by pulling on the edges a little bit. And now what we can do is V-tie it. I know measured around 5.5 inches is right there. We're trying to tie these around 5 to 6 inches, so I'm just going for 5.5. Don't forget, you have to measure for each different hook because the hooks are different sizes, so don't just go based off where your material is on the vise. I'll show you real quick. There you go. 5.5 inches right on the money. I'm just using the back of this medallion. It's nice to have a fancy vise because you can use or any vise really, you can just use features on it as like a, you measure the hook if you're tying a bunch at the start, and then you could tie the material to the same length every time. Okay, so now we take another small batch of hair, about the same size. We're just not really going to taper it, just barely pull on the ends, and we're going to tie this in. So that way it's just a little bit shorter. We're also moving forward, so the material ends up being a little shorter. The annoying thing about having to avoid that hook point with my mono thread is that I am, what do you call it? I'm like wrapping this material. Also, Southern Fly Guy, I think you gotta, unfortunately, we only can do the giveaway live on Twitch if we're multi-streaming, because Twitch is a authoritarian platform when it comes to how they control it. So you got to type the ! play in Twitch chat. Just FYI. Otherwise it won't, because it's only linked to the Twitch chat. It's like how the game works. It like works off Twitch itself. It's like linked together. All right, let me cut off a nice little fresh batch here of the orange. I wanted to make sure you know those so you don't miss out. We're probably going to have to do some sort of separate giveaways on YouTube via, like, on one of my fly tying videos or something. Until maybe Twitch changes that, but who knows. Okay, so now we can V-tie this here. Hey, Craggerroll, what's going on, man? How you doing? Go ahead and V-tie that like that, and we'll go ahead and add a little bit of angel hair. So that's our first two-tone tie. Two-tone tie. I'm actually just gonna, this is pretty short, so let's just tie this straight on. Go ahead and hit it with a little head cement. I'm picturing peacock bass. Gonna be pretty rough on flies. So I'm applying, not head cement, I'm sorry, super glue essentially in between certain ties. So now what we can do is, just to mitigate it being too short, let's cut off a little bit more material, put that off to the side, taper this, and now this will be longer than if we just cut it in half, for that last tie, which is coming up next. So now we're going to have the appropriate length as we're moving up, because on that last one we were a little bit shorter. It's just something I caught. So now do the same, grab the orange. This one we probably don't even need to cut. We'll just barely taper it, because it's okay if the orange is, actually you might need to trim it just a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Because we don't want that to be too long. We want to get that natural taper effect. And again, we can always trim it, but I always try to avoid to do the least amount of trimming with these flies as possible, so I can just do the bodies and be done. Have those tails. It's one of the benefit of, like, tying with Popovic style, like hollow ties and Kenny Abrams stuff, especially Bob Popovic's when it comes to the hollow tie. That's really where you learn the masterclass in trying to taper flies, you know what I mean? I don't need to be too worried about the sides there, because that is going to be covered up. So now we can take our material, fold it in half that we have cut, and taper that, and now this will go on top. And this, again, may or may not be trimmed, depending on how we end up just trimming each fly. And V-tie is where it's essentially going to be tied like that, and then folded back, and that's where the V comes from. Right. Did I finish the lizard fly? No, I went to bed. The lizard fly is something we're doing for fun. Really what he needs is, the guy needs 6 dozen peacock bass flies. But we'll see. Maybe we'll get, if we can get all this stuff done, maybe we'll on stream we'll attempt to finish that crazy lizard. We'll probably finish it on stream at some point, but Yeah, I underestimated. It's been a while since we tied giant articulated flies with many steps, and I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna take a while. I'm tired. I just worked all day, did multiple boatloads, and also just my back, man. My back is still kind of acting up a little bit today because the effects of yesterday working all day, and also then just sitting here and tying. So I've been trying to get up and stretch and doing certain stretches and stuff laying down, but it's bunker season. I usually get a little worn out here and there, but that's all right. Not complaining. All right, that's better. See, we're trying to make sure we get that taper, and I'll show you like essentially this is much more natural like that. So once we have the hair like this, we'll trim it and we can kind of naturally just go with it. Every once in a while you get some pretty thick strands of EP fiber in there. Surprised YouTube hasn't some added sort of link, especially with more. Yeah, you know, there may be. It's just that. Well, yeah, no, YouTube really doesn't do stuff like that. The way you have to, and it's a little, it sucks. You can't. It's probably good, but you can't message on YouTube. So how do you verify that the person who won on YouTube is the person you're sending whatever they won? You know what I mean? So you have to have them like either email you or message you on Discord or message you on Instagram, and like you can go like, do you ask them for proof, like send me a screenshot of your username on YouTube or something, or do you just say, all right, cool, first come first serve, and then you get like 30 emails like, hey, I'm not if you're giving away like something crazy. Luckily we have a pretty small community and whatnot, but I could see because you know what unfortunately can happen is people can just like spam. Let me turn my notification sound off. I have it on because I'm working, so I need to have my notifications on, but yeah, you can essentially have like bots and stuff, you know. So, anyways, all right, we got 2 more of these to tie, and then we're tying the body on this sucker. Don't forget !play. Hop in the Friday Fly giveaway on Twitch. If you're a subscriber, first subscriber, landed in the pit on this marble race, which I don't see Southern Fly Guy. Southern Fly Guy, you better hop on in here. You got to go on Twitch though and type it, and then you can go back to wherever. But if not, I'll join you. You can have mine or something because you probably you probably didn't understand. But and after this, we'll have the follow on. Again, we're not streaming lawn tonight, so we're gonna tie a couple of these EP flies or like these tails, and then maybe tie 1 or 2 from start to finish, and just chit chat a little, and then we'll run these. So have we're probably doing some sort of sand eel pattern next as our next fly tying tutorial. So you can see I got like a couple dozen sand eel candies. I forgot I got to finish those. I ran out of thin resin. I might have enough to finish them. I got all of these. I got packs of hooks everywhere and material everywhere. It's like you could tell it's fall time because it's like peak fly tying right now. There's just stuff everywhere. I have so many different things I'm working on. Gotta like the stream for a marble boost. Yes. Even though you can't join on YouTube because it's only linked via Twitch, you're right. You do need to, if you're somehow double dipping, you got to like on YouTube to get that ! Boost. Yep, you're right. What's going on, Rev? I do need to work Sunday, but we've been getting done around like 1:30 to 2, around there. So I'm going to be like exhausted. So, but I'll probably be good enough to, you know, hopefully we can get a game of Savage Worlds in. So hopefully everyone will be around, but I'll keep you guys informed, but more than likely I'll probably get done early enough. I just need to like, you know, come home, take a shower and whatnot and eat. But, so we'll see if we can play around like 3 or 4 or something, probably around like 4 or 4:30. Hopefully people don't flake because it's been a little while, but I don't know. My schedule's all crazy now, so. hopefully Tuesday as well is a nice and early day. I was surprised I got done early on Tuesday. I was like, oh, here we go. D&D time. One of the hardest things to do. It's probably the hardest thing when it comes to running a game for a group of your friends. It's just getting everybody together as adults. It's like impossible. But we try, we manage. So this is the one downside. See this? See what I'm dealing with over here because of this inferior thread? Unbelievable. I'm missing my, now I got to order. It's like, it's not going to, I'm kind of down, not down to the wire, but, I have like a week or so. I guess I could order thread, but it's not worth it. I have this thread. I just got to work with it. But every once in a while I get some thread or I get some stick-on eyes and I got to tie like 100 flies and these eyes are just like falling off constantly and it's just driving me crazy. So it makes me really appreciate when I have like a solid material choice that I can use all the time that I just know like, I know how much pressure I could put on the thread before it breaks or whatever. Really makes a difference when you're tying hundreds of flies, It's like having a trusty old wrench or something. This stuff's not bad, but it's just, I was literally just using the fine monofilament. Here, I'll show you right now. The Danville monofilament fine and versus the, and it's also, I think, a smaller size because it's 0.004, if I'm not wrong. How does that work again? 0.006 versus 0.004 in thread. Is it the higher the number, like this, the smaller it is, or the higher the number, the thicker the thread is? I always forget. There's like 8 different ways of measuring thread. But that being said, that Danville monofilament is way stronger. Oh, let me turn this down. I was peeking a little there. I gotta watch the audio input. Hey, Leans, what's going on? How you doing? Higher is bigger. Okay. Gotcha. There is things where the higher number is smaller. I'm not crazy, right? I feel like maybe something in mechanics terms or something from my past. I forget. Okay. So that Danville is a little bit stronger, which makes sense. They're both fine monofilament threads. But the Danville is definitely a little bit stronger, so. But so far, I haven't broke the thread, knock on wood. It's probably not real wood, so I'll knock on my floor. But yeah. Wire gauges. Ah, that's what it is. Wire gauges. Yes. So there is. Yeah, there is. Okay. I was like, am I crazy? Bigger the number, the smaller the wire gauge or diameter? Yeah. That makes sense. Thank you. Thank you for clearing that up. Taper this. We want this to be pretty much going to the end, so we got to taper this even more. By the way, how was everybody's Halloween? Hope everyone had a good Halloween. I had plans. We were going to do a whole TTRPG stream, but, real life responsibility got in the way, so we ended up, I dressed up like Mike Ross with my dollar store wig. Unfortunately, he's still locked up in Tijuana. Near Tijuana, Los Concitos. Federal LA's got him, but smuggling emu eggs across the border. But, and we tied the tail section of a lizard fly while we just essentially chit-chatted the whole time. But Halloween's probably my favorite holiday when it comes to streaming for multiple reasons, but let's go ahead and trim this like that for this next tie. I don't know why. It feels like I've been, it's taken me forever to tie these flies. I think once I get to the section where I'm just tying the short material and V-ties away from the hook point, I think it's going to go really fast. It's just the tails, or it's certain flies are like this, like the tail section and things like that take the longest. But that being said, it does feel like these are taking a little bit longer than usual. Rightfully so. They are somewhat labor intensive compared to other flies, you know. Makes sense. Let's go ahead and tie these forward all the way. I'm playing a little Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. There was oh, I can't, I guess, officially say or if it did or did not happen because I could technically get banned from competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Or just card shops. But someone may or may not have potentially, may or may not, definitely didn't leak cards early that weren't allowed to. And it caused like a complete and utter market crash of certain cards, which it may or may have done that, but it may it didn't. So you gotta be careful. But yeah, so I was able to scoop up this card, Triple Tactics Thrust. Essentially says you activate a monster effect in my turn, and I can go get like any spell or trap from my deck, which is like, okay, at that point, we're cooking. And it was so expensive. It was like $60 at one point. Then it was at 30, this and that. I was like, nope. And I need 3 of them. And then I saw the market collapse, which may or not have been related to the potentially definitely didn't happen leaks. And I scooped them up at like 11 a piece. See ya, easy, ship it. Now they've gone back up because there's like it's like the stock market. It like crashes and consolidates and oh god. But so I'm excited because now I can play this deck at full power finally because it's become like a budget deck over time. So let's go branded full power. Okay, that's enough card game stuff, but quality over quantity, true. Definitely not skipping any steps with these. I was like, well, I could, because I was like with the 3 odds. I'm only doing 1 single tail tie and then 1 tie in 2-tone that's pretty long and then 1 shorter one. So we're only doing a couple ties. And with the 4 odds, I was like, I definitely have to do an additional tie here because we just need to extend the length of the body in a certain way. You know, if we're trying to go for this like this tapered look, this larger fly, like a big cichlid or something. Cichlid. Cichlids. It's cichlid, isn't it? I've been saying cichlids this whole time, like this past couple of days. I'm delusional. But it's these cichlids or whatever in these canals, I think. I think these are going to like Florida or something. Probably. More than likely, we'll see. I don't remember. Essentially bright and colorful fish. I am tempted to take a Sharpie and put some dots on these suckers and some bars and stuff like that. But I'm not certain. I guess I'll ask them when I get them done. Like, hey, do you want me to, like, do something? You want me to add some, like, cool barring effects with a Sharpie or something? Or do you not? Because we could definitely kind of go a little crazy here. Add some cool like zebra stripes or like barring to it or dots, you know. Because most normal fish that in general have some sort of natural camouflage to them, even bright fish, you know, with different dots and stripes and things. So it's definitely an option. Definitely something we could do. Now, again, we got to be careful. We don't want too much material. This is where the bulk of the material is other than the front, right? So, again, you need to be careful. Like, we need a full enough head, but we don't want too much. We're going to be trimming a lot of it anyway, so we don't want to waste too much. But this, more than likely, again, is probably not really going to get touched that much. It is going to be maybe trimmed up on the sides a little bit, but I guess we'll see. Let's go ahead and get this last one done, and then we can actually, you know, kind of finish one of these. Because I've been tying these tails forever. I think I need a break from the tails for a little bit. But I gotta tie some all purple ones. Something tells me the all purple ones are like probably gonna be the most important ones for them. For those muddy canals or something. Which, by the way, if you haven't, !play. If you're a sub on Twitch, first marble and pit's gonna be win some flies. After that, we're shotgunning the follower one. Ain't gonna be a super long stream tonight because I gotta go work super early tomorrow. So good old bunker fishing. This is the reason why I couldn't stream last Friday, the last Friday of the month. But we're making our way to having that boat ready for the spring. There was so much activity out in the ocean this year. If I had my boat, we probably would have caught 20, 30-pound striped bass on the fly, eating sand eels on the surface. I just pray that happens next year. I get it, no albies, whatever you did with the albies, maybe we'll see him again, but I'll take some 20, 30-pound striped bass eating sand eels on the surface, So I have to get that boat fixed. So I'm actually going to clean it up here soon. I cleaned it up earlier this year. Leaves are starting to fall and stuff, though, so I'm going to clean it up and then cover it up with like one of those mega tarps from Harbor Freight that you can get for like $70, but those like crazy gigantic tarps. There you go, Southern Fly Guy. You're in there. Okay, this is the last one, so I'm not going to take a giant bunch of this yellow. So I'm curious, is one pack in each color enough to tie a dozen 2-odds and a dozen 4-odds? It's looking like that's the case. Which is actually really nice. That's pretty cool. From a perspective of like, hey, I got to tie a bunch of these things or something. Or if you're looking to try and get some mileage out of your material, this EP fiber is pretty good. You just want to tie some basic bait fish flies. You don't got to buy like, bucktails and this and that. You can go with something like this. You can definitely get a good amount of flies out of just one package. You could probably get like 2-3 dozen flies out of a single package if you use the material right. You know what I mean? And especially if they're smaller flies, like I'm tying some pretty large flies here in these 4-odds. Yeah, it felt good. I caught a fish the other day. You can check out the photo in the Discord or on my Instagram, but finally got a fish out of the trough. Surf fishing's tough, but it should be getting good. What happens later in the year is we start getting this structure on the beach. Essentially, the beaches get wiped out. You lose about like 100 foot of sand or like 50 foot of sand. The Army Corps engineers and like stuff or people like that come down with like tractors and are like digging up, and they're dredging right now and redoing the beaches. But some of the beaches away from all that, they get these troughs and these trenches right next to the beach. And if you're not wearing a wading belt, like you could probably drown in some of these spots. You have to be careful. But it gets really deep close to shore, and you have sandbars further out. So the waves wash over the sandbars, sand eels get sucked out with the tide, and the bass patrol the edges. And the sand eels sit in the sand as well, but potentially, specifically on the sandbars, I was kicking them up. So they shoot off, and then they try and shoot back into the shallow water, and the waves are like kicking them up all the time. And the bass are just patrolling. And I saw one doing it, so I was like, it gave me a lot of confidence. I was like, all right, I'm going to go back. I'm going to try and get one here. I know these fish are coming in. I saw it literally patrolling the edge of the trough on the far side where the wave crashes over, probably about 100 feet away from where you stand on shore. And it was like sight fishing. Its tail was almost up. It was just looking down for sand eels. So I tied some of the flies that I posted, there was like a surf candy half and half with the weighted line. So it's essentially almost like dredging it on the bottom at times. But I cast it all the way to the edge to where the sandbar is, and then was stripping it back towards me. And I had a couple soft hits, like probably the last couple times I fished, but I couldn't tell, like, was I hitting the bottom even though I'm using a floating fly because the surf is strong, there's current. The cool thing is you can actually swing flies there. It's like perfect for swinging flies because there's so much current going through that trough. But finally got one on that sand eel thing, dredging it a little bit. It was definitely not on the bottom 100%. It was like probably a foot or two off the bottom, and it was probably only about 4 or 5 foot deep in that trough, maybe at the deepest. But so probably just saw it shooting around, and thought it was a sand eel fleeing. But so it was good to, like, put my knowledge of surf fishing with the fly, like, into use, and like reading the surf and like fishing the structure. Because it's been tough, man. It's not been easy. I think it's going to get easier, though, in the next month or so as we start getting more structure. No, I'm using, I believe this one, it's the Rio Striper line, but with the 30-foot, I think 350 grain sink tip. And I don't think it's floating. I think it's an intermediate running line. It's this yellow intermediate running line, if I'm not wrong. So it's like a 30-foot head, which the loop wore through, so I had to tie a nail knot. So far it hasn't broken, so it took me like 4 or 5 tries. Oh, that's the first time we broke the thread. Rip, can I get an exclamation mark, Tink? But yeah, it's a 350 grain, 30-foot head intermediate running line, I think. And the reason why I'm using that, which you'd be like, why are you using that in the surf? You're just going to be dragging it on the sand. The waves are so strong and so rough. A floating line, you have to, like, literally either have the right conditions or you have to be like a master at, like, mending. You can't even mend your line, really. You're essentially just like, your line's going to get picked up by the waves and just thrown around. So you won't have any line control. Your fly will not be swimming properly. When there's like 3, 4 foot, 5 foot, waves or whatever. It's very tough. So I use a sink tip and an intermediate line, so I cut through the waves, so my line isn't being yanked around all the time so violently. I can actually fish the fly properly and have, like, line tension, so if I don't miss any strikes, and I can also try and fish it in the way that I want, and it's not just being yanked all over the place. So it's pretty important. The downside of that is you need a pretty strong rod. Luckily we have that Wolfram 11 weight, which has been doing amazing. You do need, like, a heavy rod for the surf. If you do end up hooking a big fish, I mean, even like that, it was like a 28, 29 inch fish. They're pretty much all like slot size, but if you do hook something decent, that fish it's not like in a boat where you can chase it or do whatever. If that fish, starts using the waves and the current, like, that thing could just run down the beach forever. So you need a rod to, like, really stop them, and you also need to drag the fish up the beach slightly. I was trying to land a couple fish, especially with the surf rod, and I forgot why it's so tough because, with the waves and all that, it's almost dangerous. You don't want to try and be, like, bending down in the water, like, at the surf line, trying to, like, grab a fish by the lip. You know what I mean? So you have to kind of just wash them up the beach with the wave a little bit and then grab them and then pop the hook out and get them back in the water quick. But a 10 weight Hardy, I don't know which rod that is, but yeah, a 10 weight works great for the surf. I'm using an 11 weight, but you could easily, I fished a 10 weight for years in the surf and worked great. So you could definitely use a 10 weight. I have a 10 weight rigged up with an intermediate. If the day's nice, that's what I'll use. You know what I mean? For sure. And an intermediate will do pretty good, but sometimes you need just like a faster sinking line to get down fast enough to where you're not getting the line yoinked around enough. So also an important thing with striper fishing in the fall when there's a ton of sand eels, the sand eels. So when I was surf fishing, this is how you surf fish. Big diamond jig. So look up what a diamond jig, or they have like an A27 diamond jig with a green tube on it. Above that, you tie a really large sand eel teaser or fly, something like this. These are what I've been tying if I glued this like a surf candy, let's say. And all you do is you cast that out there with your surf rod, probably like 100, yards or whatever. With the wind, you can even go farther with these rods. You're casting so far, it's crazy. with the braid. And all you do is you physically just drag the jig along the bottom, like physically along the sand, like drag it along the sand, and that teaser is just kind of bouncing right in front of it, and it looks like sand eels jumping out of the sand. And that's what these striped bass are doing. They're going into the surf and they're going on the beaches, and they're essentially trying to root out sand eels from the sand and chase them and eat them. So I think even my buddy Tim from South Fork Salt, he might have some cool footage of like a striped bass in the surf line kicking its tail, and then the sand eels shooting out of the sand and it turning around and getting them. So you'll literally just cast out that jig and like drag it along the bottom, and then something will just slam it. So I had one fish that was pretty nice. It was probably like 32, 33 inches. And it was on my teaser as well, so that made me feel good. I had some more fish on the teaser and then some fish on the jig. So it always feels good when I get the biggest one on my fly and not the lure when I'm spin fishing. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It's fun. Even though it was like almost every third cast I was like getting some fish, and I was like, man, I could really probably be catching some nice fish. I think one of my friends, South Fork Saw, I think he had like a really nice fish recently on the spinning rod. There's some big fish around, but I'm just too stubborn, and I'm like, what if I hook that 40-pounder on the fly though, and then I can have my Lou Tabery moment where I'm holding a 40-pounder caught on the fly on like a big snake fly or sand eel pattern, because I'm waiting for it. That's my goal. You know what I mean? Because I've caught some really nice fish, like 30-something plus pound. I don't think I've broken 40s, but I've broken like low 30s on a spinning rod when I was younger. Just like some massive fish. You know what I mean? In the fall on spinning rods. On like big lures or plugs. But I'm trying to get that fish on the fly, man. I'm addicted to it, so we'll see. I don't know. It's not easy, but definitely got to work for it when you're fly fishing the surf. But that's part of the fun, I guess. Let's add a little bit of angel hair here. Okay, now we are going to try and actually finish this fly. So we're going to be V-tying and then trimming. The hair only needs to be something like that long. Essentially the way this is going to work, we're just going to take a bunch of hair like this. Let's apply a little bit of head cement here because we finished the body section. It's one of my head cement my super glue stages. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to go right back to where we finished our last tie. And we're going to try and keep them pretty tight. Just go ahead and make a couple wraps. Again, have that, excuse me, shaped like a V-tie. Grab a drink here. Grab some more for the top. I'm trying not to get too much because I don't want to waste any, You could certainly just tie a bunch in there, but we're probably going to start off like a little bit longer, and we can always go a little shorter near the front if I have some shorter hair. So again, wrap it even, and now fold back the opposite way. Oh, see, I broke it just by pressure. This thread's not very strong at all. Boo-hoo. Another exclamation mark tink. It's like barely even, excuse me. It's barely even, what do you call it? My drag is barely even on the bobbin, so it's like very light pressure. Go ahead and throw a whip finish in here. I'll hit super glue on the tie here, but Because you got to apply pressure to make sure these flies are durable. I don't want to rely on glue for everything. I'm a big proponent of applying enough pressure to the thread. See, this is, oh man, this is getting annoying now. Ideally, I'd be using, I should have bought the 210 denier flat wax nylon colors. That's what I should have done. I honestly might go do that for the rest of the flies. I like applying a lot of pressure. That's really, I'm not even going nuts, and that's breaking. Like, come on, man. Don't do me like that. I can't even get, how am I going to get these flies tied? If I breathe on it and it breaks. Yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go get some 210 denier flat wax nylon in orange, white, or pink, and then black for the purple one. Let me whip finish here. That's the 0.004 mono from Uni Mono. It's unfortunate. I'm like muscle memory bound to the Danville Mono. So I like know how much pressure I can apply before it breaks. So I'm just not used to this, and it's like throwing me off, you know what I mean? All right, see, this part should be going pretty fast now because we don't really need to go too crazy with tapering and whatnot. We just essentially tie this on there V-tie style. Make sure it's secured, and then fold it back. Essentially just like that. Every couple ties I'm going to add some, what do you call it, some super glue to it just to be careful. Can taper it a little. I mean, it's probably not the worst idea. And we can also add a little bit of angel hair to one of these ties. In fact, we'll do it right now. Just add a little bit of flash to it. If you haven't, if you're just tuning in, !play for the Friday giveaway. We got our sub one going first, follower one up next. If you're watching on Twitch. That being said, I hope everybody watching is having an awesome night on Twitch, on YouTube. Appreciate you folks taking some time out. Haven't been able to stream as much and stream as long. I'm working a bunch now, but it'll be worth it, hopefully, when we're out on the boat, catching shark on the fly and striped bass and whatnot. Maybe catch some weak fish on the fly off my boat this year. So, and not only that, I'm trying to stay, up to date with the fly tying. That's why right now I'm covering for AC Fishing. He's going tuna fishing, actually, but normally I'm just Tuesday, Thursday, so I still should have time to be able to do some fly tying, do some streaming. It's just I'm kind of been covering and whatnot, so we should be able to get some streams and also some new fly tying videos done here, hopefully maybe next week, because I should be at that point hopefully caught up with all this fly tying orders and stuff. I could spend a little time focusing on the, on Twitch and YouTube. Definitely got to get a new fly tying tutorial out because it's been almost a couple weeks now. It's probably going to be like almost a month since the last tutorial, so we got to keep going. Damn, dude, these hooks are sharp. I'll tell you that much. Throw a whip finish in. Hit it with head cement. I got 0.08 for my pike flies. It's a dream building thread dams. Really? Because I've found at some certain times with, much larger mono, which I almost can't find large mono nowadays. I usually only find the fine, which is 0.06. But sometimes I have an issue with mono being too large and it builds up fast. But I've grown a lot in my fly tying and I use a lot less thread. You know what I mean? Over the years, I've learned that, if you can figure out how much thread you can get away with without having too much, it's usually a good thing. Your flies will just be a lot cleaner and a lot nicer. It's all about applying pressure and whatnot. So I should probably check it out, some of that larger mono. Okay, now we're cruising. It does still take a little while for each one, but at least we don't need to worry about the tapering and the size. We can just bang it out. We have a bunch of this material cut to this size. I can even grab some of my shorter stuff here as we go up. These are definitely a good fly to learn if you're learning fly tying. I think after you've gotten your deceivers and clouser minnows down, these are a great fly probably for learning just the basics of tapering the material and getting a natural appearance to a fly, in terms of trying to make it look like a bait fish. Because you have to mentally wrap your head around what's going on as you're adding the material, It's probably a good fly for that. Now I'm not a lot of these sort of flies, they have weed guards. I'm not a master of weed guards, right? I definitely could. He didn't say anything about weed guards, and I feel like he would probably tell me if that was the case. So I'm not going to do anything about that. I'm also not like a backcountry bait fishing guy who, that's probably another thing that I've done weed guards before in the past, but I've also, I don't think I've perfected or found the way that I really enjoy doing weed guards. I don't know if I like the two mono stems like sticking down, or do you like the loop going around? It's tough to say. I used to do it a lot with largemouth bass fishing, but nowadays with this sort of, striper fishing, we don't really use weed guards. You know what I mean? You don't want to get stuck. You just use a fly that swims upside down. So it's definitely something we can experiment with. I got to find my preferred way of doing weed guards. You can see we want to make sure those ties are wrapped evenly, and then we have a nice even head here. You could probably get away with not being perfect on the other ones, but on the last one it's pretty important. Wrap that up good. That's not enough whip finishes. We're going to need to do more than that. It just broke on me. Mono thread. Let's get some better whip finishes in. Oh, dude, I actually have something. You guys want to see a relic from the past? Hold the mother flippin' phone. Where is it? Found a bunch of my old fly tying tools. Check this sucker out. Let's see if I still got it. Sheesh. I mean, that's a luxury, chat. Right? You might as well be driving a Lamborghini and be in a different tax bracket if you got one of those. All right, we use our hands around here. The only reason is I literally lost it, forgot where it was. But it is nice when you're trying to get a bunch of wraps, because you see when you're doing something like this, you only get 2 or 3 with your hands, so you got to do a bunch, over and over again. So I probably should use this some more, but I'll probably lose it again. So by now I'm just a hand whip finisher. They call me the hand whip finisher on the streets. We'll go ahead and ba-beep, ba-boop. I think now we can trim this sucker up. So essentially you see what we're working with here, right? You see what we're working with here. We could spread this out. We could probably actually brush this. I wonder if we should do like maybe one more tie before we start doing the body. Because I can still do that sort of thing, you know what I mean? Just to get the profile a little better. We'll see what this looks like trimmed. I think it will be nice, but on the next ones I can... Where's the hook? I don't want to trim the hook here. So now we're just going to kind of trim it down a little bit more manageable. You also want to come at it from the sides here and kind of work this out. Trim the sides up slightly. That's pretty much what we're working with right here, and then we can glue some eyes on there. I mean, that's pretty good. I was thinking, do we like, instead of this first tie, do we do one more tie that's a little bit longer on these? Which I think I might end up doing. You know what I'm talking about? Just to get that. That profile a little better. And this is where coming in and trimming from a 3D angle helps, you know, looking at it like this. Seeing like, okay, I gotta take this down slightly. And there we go. Now we have an EP fly for some peacock bass. EP style. Let's put some eyes on here. Let's see what it looks like when it's all said and done. I think I am, though, on the next ones. I'll probably end up just extending that slightly. Definitely. You got to go around and look at it 360 degrees. You essentially just need to look at it like that and just see if there's any areas that need a little trimming. And it doesn't hurt to trim the bottom a little bit more than the top so that it swims properly. Essentially, something like that. And now we have a nice natural taper to the fly. These are great for small flies. With the big stuff, I don't bother with it. Yeah. I'd say this is probably about as big as I go. I wouldn't like tie a giant bunker fly out of this stuff, you know what I mean? But I think 5-6 inches, that's about where I like with the EP flies, size-wise. Like, we could even probably trim that up a little bit more. We're going to glue the eyes, and that'll be, after that, we do the final trimming because the head gets squished, essentially. So these are 9/32 stick-on eyes. From saltwaterflies.com. I have this stick and seal, but I punctured the bottle recently. This thing's almost done anyway, so I got to get a new bottle of this or either some E6000, one or the other. I think they're relatively the same, but I'm not certain. I've heard this is better. I don't think I've seen too much of a difference, but I should stick with one or the other. And this has been pretty good, so it's been recommended as well. E6000 is, I think, a little easier to get, personally. I got to see if this is even available locally, but I might need to order it. Yeah, hold on. This stuff's... I got to get to some fresh... Stuff's pretty dried out. Uptown Dave actually gave this to me, now that I remember. We haven't seen him in a while. I know he's still doing tons of fly tying. He probably just doesn't tune in on Twitch, but shout out to Uptown Dave. I think he gave me this bottle. Or I might have gone through that one already, but I'm going to add a little bit more. I just kind of wanted to press some of that glue in there. Now with EP, they have those like eyes you can tie to the hook shank, which are like probably the best way to do it, but I don't have those, and I'm not spending a ton of money for those. These 3D eyes work great. I got a little bit of glue there, which is annoying. I'm going to have to trim that. Normally I try to be a little bit better than that. Cleaner. You want to make sure you have enough glue pressed into the body so that this thing sticks. So I like to press a little bit in and then get a little bit more. I probably put a little too much on that last one. Line that up. Make sure that looks good. That's better. What I can do here is just kind of clean this up a little bit. You want to just press them down. You want to make sure you squeeze them. After a little while, it expands, so you want to come back and press it down again, but and there we go. There's our EP fly. Looking good. Let's go ahead and just hit it with a brush. I think I'll probably make sure for the first tie I start off, I'll go long. But this is good. I'm happy with it. I think that'll catch a peacock bass. Now I'm thinking though, I think it'd probably look great with some barring on top. I'm not gonna do it. I'll ask the guide and see if he wants to. I am gonna lightly trim this after we've pressed the head. Even though I'm gonna make a mess, I'll do it like that so you guys can see. Because after we squeeze it, it does slightly change the shape. And there we go. EP fly. Looking good. You can tie really nice mullet flies with this, by the way. Like if you're trying to tie something that looks like a mullet, this is a great fly for something like that. for the fall time for straight bass. If you just do this like gray over white, ends up being like a really nice mullet fly. You could taper it down just a little bit to something like that, probably for the finger mullet, you know. On our 4-aught, very nice. I'm happy with that. Let's stick that in there. All right. Yeah, that looks good. I'm happy with that. I'll probably do, like I said, I'll extend that one more tie. I'm not going to worry about getting too crazy with it, but excuse me. Hey, thank you, Spirit Fly. I appreciate that. Now I just need to tie carry the 1 to the 2 and switch that, and I need to tie 71 more. So but very nice. What do you call it? I'm happy I've been doing so many of these tails, as you can see. You know what I mean? That it's nice to get one of them tied up and see what it looks like. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times that's one of the things with doing any sort of commercial stuff is when you're you do it in steps. You know what I mean? So it's nice when you start getting the flies finished and you get to see them. It's like a very rewarding thing. So I'm very excited to get all of these finished because the feel of EP fiber between my hands is starting to get old right now because I've been working with it so much. It's a very like specific feeling. My hands are all beat up from bunker fishing too. You can see striper fishing wounds, right? You got bunker fishing hands all dried out and cut up, and probably semi-infected from bunker slime. But all right, let's go ahead and get our Friday fly giveaway finished up. Unfortunately, I have to work early in the morning. We're doing some bunker fishing this weekend, so but we're making that boat money. So probably next week we're going to what do you call it? Which, by the way, this isn't that bad, dude. When I used to be a mechanic, my hands were terrible. It's one of the reasons I stopped because I was gonna lose a finger eventually doing that stuff. But what do you call it? We're next week we're gonna be doing some streaming because I should be only working Tuesday and Thursday. I have a ton of fly time to do as well. I'll make sure to stream it. And I'm working on a new fly time video, so more than likely we're going to have a couple sand eel style stuff for the fall because that's kind of all that's going on right now. So who knows, maybe we'll do that surf candy style half and half fly. That's a really fun fly to tie. But more than likely we got some just like larger sand eel style, either candies or jiggies or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But that surf candy sand eel actually is probably a good option. But all right. Now, unfortunately, this is just for the folks on Twitch because of the way the multi-streaming stuff works and Marbles, the game we're doing here. But the last Friday of every month, even though it's not the last Friday of the month, we missed last week. I was working. We do a giveaway. We've been doing it for years on Twitch. The first subscriber to land or finish first in the race is going to win a couple of flies sent in the mail and the first follower as well. So we're going to figure out how to do this, but more than likely, I already kind of know how we're going to do it, but on one of these fly time videos, maybe when we get to like, I don't know, 2,000 and a half subs on YouTube or 3,000, we're going to do like, we're going to start incorporating these into our YouTube videos. So, but yeah, so exclamation mark play if you haven't. First subscriber in the pit's going to be winning. Then we're going to shotgun our follower one, and I'm going to try and unwind for a little bit before I go to bed because we're getting up early tomorrow. So you can't wake up late when you're commercial fishing. It's not how that works. I don't mind it though. I've been trying to wake up earlier this fall in general because I've been going fishing a lot, so I've been trying to go at like, around 6 or 7 some days and just go for an hour or two and then come home and try and get some fly tying done on my off days. But all right, let's go ahead and see. Now, I am still, I believe, paying for Epidemic Sound, so we should have some marble music going probably. Let me take a look. Do I need to sign in? It's probably going to make me sign in. You son of a gun. Marble music. Let's get it going. All right. Let's lock it in. We got our subscriber race immediately after. We got our follower race here on Twitch. I appreciate everybody hanging out. Obviously here on Twitch, but also to all the folks on YouTube. We've been having quite a lot of folks tuning in. Quite a lot of people watching on YouTube. So, and I've been streaming on Twitch for years, so it's awesome to see folks checking out the live fly tying. So I just wanted to say thank you. You know, this is one of the things we do. We got to incorporate this to YouTube. Like I said, via videos or something to, say thank you to all you folks that enjoy the content on here on this platform. But, our Friday Fly giveaway is what we like to do, for all you folks to take time out of your month to hang out and listen to me ramble while I tie some flies. So let's see who's going to be winning some flies here. Yo, Rev, thank you for the gifted membership to Daniel. Give it up. Round of applause. Daniel getting the gift sub, or I should say gift membership from Rev. Get a round of applause. I want to see some LI flies from the folks on Twitch. I need to update. We're probably going to update the emotes on both platforms, new emotes all around, and I got to upload some emotes to YouTube, so I got to get around to it at some point. So, but thank you, my friend. Appreciate that. Daniel, enjoy the membership, and hopefully soon we'll have some new emotes for you, as well as possibly, we'll just maybe if we this is a feature which we could do, even though we don't have a lot of memberships, we could like release a fly tying video earlier, like a day or two earlier or whatever for members, or a week early. But I'm not too worried. I'm not necessarily trying to incentivize, people to join memberships and stuff. I just appreciate you folks hanging out and watching. That's the best way to support the stream. So, all right, let's start this up. But who knows? In the future, we might have more special stuff for that. All right, ready up, chat. Who do we got here? Southern Fly Guys, Leans, Craggerroll, Brew, Sir Jin, Doc, Brew. First marble in the winner's circle is going to be winning some flies here. Good luck, ladies and gentlemen. These are all veteran marble racers here. They've all had their fair share. Southern Fly Guy's the rookie. Southern Fly Guy's the rookie here. He's got a lot of energy, I could tell, with the perfect execution through the holes on the paddle section. Unbelievable. Off to a good start. Let's see if he can keep up the momentum. Jin, though, he's saying, I need some new flies for that November time striper fishing up in Massachusetts. Trying to duck, dodge, dip and dodge and weave. I think Craggerroll was elbowing or throwing fist with Brew in the back, but they got out of it. Southern Fly Guy keeping the lead, looking good. We're coming up to the scissor section here. Right now, taking some sweet lines, though, looking good. Now, this is where things... Oh! Did you see that? Perfect execution, but now getting caught up. Now, this is where things could... We're adding momentum and physics into the mix. There's also pegs. I see pegs. Don't get pegged. And Fly Guy... and Leans both getting air over that. Now it's all coming up to this last moment. If he can just get past the pegs, just like that, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations. Southern Fly Guy with the win. I was holding my breath there because we've had a lot of those pegs right there. If you get hit by one of those, you're getting launched in the air about 550 feet and 300 miles an hour. Congratulations, Fly Guy, Southern Fly Guy. First time marble winner here. I'm going to need you to send me, I know you're on our Discord, so send me a shipping address and I'll send you an envelope with a couple of flies that were tied on stream here at some point over the past month or two. So congratulations, my friend, but we aren't done yet. We are doing one more race for the followers. All right, as long as you're following on Twitch, you don't got to... No Twitch primes, no tier 1, 2, 3s. All you got to do is just have been watching the channel before, and you're like, oh yeah, I like that guy's fly tying, you followed or something. in the past. So type !play and somebody's going to be winning some flies. Jerry, can we turn down the goddamn Blade techno music? I feel like I'm ready to go slaying vampires over here. What are we doing? Come on. And if you folks in YouTube want to get involved spiritually, you can type !play or !refund. None of those things do anything. But, you know, if you want to get involved, put your energy into the mix. Or you could always head over to Twitch and, you know, try and knock somebody off or something. But I'll give you guys a minute here. But again, I appreciate everybody hanging out. I hope you folks have, you know, been enjoying. We essentially, from start to finish, tied a backcountry peacock bass fly. We could take that. See, if I was smart, I'd be taking these VODs and I would be cutting them and uploading like that. We've done it in the past. The problem is I like filming my fly tying. God, my voice is getting thrown out. I like filming them in 4K. There's nothing like some crisp 4K fly tying footage. And I also go try and like get certain angles and do this yada yada yada. But that would be one thing if I was able to stream in a higher bit rate, so I could take advantage of like 4K streaming on YouTube. Then I could just literally take VODs and like upload them or like cut them up and have fly tying videos that way and like do other stuff, film you know, afterwards. But unfortunately, we're limited. Optimum. Terrible service, which love you guys at Optimum. It's at this point we have like there's lore on the channel that Optimum is like actively watching the stream and like dropping the frames or something at the important things. Yeah, and unfortunately I don't even have the service, the internet service or the computing power to stream at a higher bit rate, but that is one advantage YouTube has over Twitch. YouTube has essentially higher quality streams if you have the internet. If you have like fiber or something, you could stream at in you know, like what is it? And I think 4K, if not, what is it, like 2180 or something? I forget if that is 4K, but you could just stream with a higher bit rate. Oh yeah, dude. Like Running Man, yep. The stream looked crisp on YouTube. Sheesh. All right. Just in case anybody was watching on YouTube and was like, oh god, they're like signing up on Twitch, like damn it, and they were trying to follow. But don't worry, we'll have something for you folks on the tube. We'll get you covered. All right. We've been getting a bunch of subscribers and stuff. We're making our way. I think we're at 2.3K or 2.2 something right now on YouTube. So maybe when we get to 2.5 or like 3K, we'll do our first YouTube giveaway or something. That being said, I probably got to post more videos if that's going to happen. So we got to work on that. All right. I forgot. Boom. So what do we got? Who do we got in here? Jin, Doc, Mr. Kinbin, Bruise, Leans, Southern Fly Guy, and Craggerroll. All, again, Marble Legends. Now, Southern Fly Guy, you're excluded from this one. But you can potentially knock someone off the track like Mr. Kinbin or Leans, right? So let me write down Southern Fly Guy for October. And yeah, Jim should be good. Troke and Stroke won last month, but he's apparently going somewhere, so we're going to send him supplies when he gets back. Okay. Let's start this sucker up. Good luck, chat. First marble in the pit is going to be winning some flies. Thank you again to everybody hanging out and watching. We're going to be doing a fly tying stream next week at some point. And look forward at some point when I get all this flies done and whatnot on one of my off days next week. I'm going to try and get some fly tying tutorials recorded and get maybe one edited before the end of the week. So approaching the vortex. There's a gravity vortex right here. And we got some sort of plexiglass tubes or something. Oh, we're getting a lot of fatalities though. Mr. Kinbin and Brew, just like that, taken out. Mr. Kinbin's like, I'm never watching this guy again unless it's Halloween. And then Leans, Southern Fly Guy. Leans is looking pretty good. Jin up top. We got Doc in the back. But it's anybody's race. We don't know how this track's going to play out here. We got a some sort of like wine glass with like a cocktail stir spinning around. Easy money. Getting through it, no problem. Southern Fly Guy's looking... He's looking good. He's just showing off at this point. Winning earlier. Record time over here. Leans, Jin, Doc, Craggerroll making their way. Again, unfortunately, Brew and Mr. Kingpin were taken out by an asteroid. Probably too much Vaseline or not enough. Because as you know, you need to polish your marbles if you want them to move at Mach 3. You know what I mean? As you can see, Jin here, longtime marble polisher. He broke out the sandpaper. He broke out the mother's marble polish. And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, round of applause for Jin. Longtime viewer, moderator, subscriber, dare I say, friend. You know, he could have gave me a BMW, but he sold it. But we'll move past that. No, congratulations, Jin. We got you, buddy. Let me write you down here, Sir Jin. Just, I'm gonna need you to ship that 5-speed 528i, and then I'll ship the flies, and then we'll be good. And Craggerroll, thank you for wasting all of our time. I appreciate that. Maybe next time you could speed it up a little bit. You know what I mean? And not all of us are in India, okay? I had to work, so I was here in spirit. Yeah. Exclamation mark refund. Yes, yes. What a classic, what do you call it? Command we have. But thank you, everybody, so much for hanging out and watching. I appreciate it. Jin and Southern Fly Guy are this month's winners of our Twitch Friday Fly giveaway. And thank you to everybody for hanging out and spending some time with us. And hopefully, maybe you learned how to manipulate a little bit of EP fiber and tie a backcountry bait fish, if you will, you know. Let me go ahead and close this down so I can see my YouTube. And hey, my PC didn't crash. Let's give it up. Also, give it up for Rev with the gifted membership. Thank you again, my friend. Hopefully, I'll be seeing you on Sunday. Southern Fly Guy with the resub for the 5 months. And Brew with the 58. Sheesh. Thank you again. I appreciate it, you guys. Hopefully, you know, maybe we'll be able, we'll get a couple streams in next week, so we can chit-chat some more. So, you sent me a message? Okay, thank you, Southern Fly Guy. I got you written down here. I got to ship. Doc, you still got a package coming anyway. I got to go to the post office for you for the international stuff, so you still got some flies coming anyway, brother. All right. Thank you so much, chat. Appreciate it. Again, everyone on YouTube, everyone on Twitch, hope you folks have an awesome night. Happy belated Halloween, and I'm going to go take it easy. And by that, I mean I'm going to eat a little bit of food and then get back to tying these. I'm going to work on the purple tails and, what do you call it? And then go to bed because I got to get up super early. So have an awesome weekend if I don't see you, and next week we'll have some sort of fly tying content. All right, so give yourself a round of applause, chat. You have an awesome weekend. You stay safe, you take it easy, and we'll see you next week, probably at probably the start of the week, like Monday or something. All right, you folks have an awesome week. Later.